Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Itai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Itai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Itai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Oh Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura he, 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 Gaura he. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garangagan Habagiri Hari Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Vishabhananandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Pravishta Omasta Uttarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Pravishta Omasta Uttarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Pravishta Omasta Uttarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Dagat Guru Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Uttarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Mahabhagavat Shila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Arupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Prananandi Hari Hari Bol Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jina Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Juhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Taravo Pinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munamidatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparara Lakshay Shiptascha Karmarita Rangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Prinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nityalila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. And all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord and all our Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Hare Krishna. So, continuing with our Jaiva-Dharma, and we'll touch on the Falshruti just to introduce the gravity of this scripture. So I think we're into the last 5. Jaiva-Dharma Pate se Shuddha Bhakti hoy,
Jaiva-Dharma Padile Kabu Bhakti no. One who reads Jaiva-Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva-Dharma can never attain Bhakti.
So how fortunate we are that we're reading very carefully with faithful deliberation, because the fruit of the Falshruti is that we will attain Shuddha Bhakti. This is guaranteed. the words of the Mahabhagavats, this Satya Sankalpa, they can never be untrue, always true. It's just like when we chant in the morning the Samsara prayers, and then this 9th verse that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's giving us a benediction that if you chant this in the early morning hours, then most certainly your devotion will increase and you will come to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. This is what the 9th verse of this Guru Vastakam is saying. Every morning we sing this. That's the Falshruti. So we always look to the Falshruti first before we come into the context of the text. And then we can appreciate what is that personality, what is the heart of that, what does he want to give. So this is like what Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants to give us, Shuddha Bhakti.
रूपानुगा अभिमान पथे दृढ़ होय जैव धर्म विमुखा के धर्म ही न कोय. Faithfully reading Jaiva-Dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva-Dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles.
So we should become very happy when we hear this benediction of Rupa Goswami, to follow in the precepts of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami has taken the very Manobishtam, the heart of Sachinandan Gaurahari, and he's benedicting the jivas of this world. Never before was Rag Marg opened out the way that Mahaprabhu has opened it. Never before. Prior to Mahaprabhu, there was minimal Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is always there, but minimal. But Mahaprabhu, especially through the teachings of Rupa Goswami, if Rupa Goswami had not come, where would we be today? Yang Kali Rupa Sarira Adira. This bhajan is singing. Where would we be today if Rupa Goswami hadn't come? If we didn't have this clarity on what is Rag Marg, what is Raganuga Bhakti. He's given us Vidagdha Madhav. In Vidagdha Madhav, you have Vidagdha Madhav? You read this? No, not yet. But in Vidagdha Madhav, all the mood and atmosphere of Radha and Krishna first meeting is there. And they can't meet without the support of Lalita and Vishaka, of Madhumangal and Subal. The Sakas and Sakis are arranging the meetings between Radha and Krishna. So Rupa Goswami has so beautifully opened this out for us to appreciate, so that while we're taking this infusion of Nam that Mahaprabhu has benedicted us with, we can be remembering these incredible pastimes. When Rupa Goswami was in Puri and meeting with Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu saw his beautiful writing. He said it was like pearls. His writing was represented. It is so beautiful. And he called all the senior Vaishnavas together to Siddhabakul, where Rupa Goswami was staying. And he wanted Rupa Goswami to share with him what he was writing. And he began to speak of these verses from Vidagdha Madhav. And all the Vaishnavas, Ramananda Roy, Advaita Acharya, Swarup Damodar, Nityananda Prabhu, Ramai, Bakrashra Pandit, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, they were all there. And they were all astonished. They realized Mahaprabhu's mission will be successful because this young devotee, this Rupa Goswami, he has captured the very heart and he's able to write it down, the very beautiful moods of Vrindavan. All of them were just completely astonished at the writings of Rupa Goswami. These are senior, the most senior personalities in Mahaprabhu's mission. And they realized, oh, with these writings of Rupa Goswami, everything will be successful. So he's given us the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He's given us the Ujjvala Nilamani. He's given us the Hamsadutta. He's given us this Vidagdha Madhav in particular. So many literatures are there that Rupa Goswami has given for us to appreciate. So we should take these seriously. But all the teachings have been condensed into this Jaiva-Dharma. All the teachings from Rupa Goswami have been condensed. So it's saying that faithfully reading Jaiva-Dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupa Nuga follower. That means everything in here is following explicitly, completely Rupa Goswami's teachings. Even in the first chapter, Bhaktivinoda Thakur reveals his identity. And he's talking about Ananga Manjari. He's talking about Lalita Sakhi. This is his line, where he's worshipping in this line of the Manjaris. So we need to know this very, very clearly. We perhaps think, oh yes, I know all this but we have to go very deeply into that. There are so many millions of misconceptions in the planet around. Even amongst devotees, there is misconceptions. Should I attempt this path of Raganuga? Oh, I'm not qualified. But qualified or not, the ingredient is greed. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamati kriyatom yatati lapide tatra lolyam apimulyam ekalam. This lolyam, this is what Rupa Goswami has said this verse. If there is some greed towards this, some attraction towards this path, then all the mercy of the higher, our Guru Parampara will come and support us. We're not meant to here just to cut the jungles of conditioned life. This is not really necessary. We go out and we do preaching like that, but unless we have our bhajan, unless our bhajan is solid, what will really you preach? What can really you give to people? Sincerely, what can you give? But if you're doing some bhajan, if you're chanting nicely, if you're personally connecting with that spiritual kingdom, with the service to Radha and Krishna, then so much you can offer the suffering humanity today. So much. So many things about this, but we'll continue. Yava jivane je
Pade
pade
Jaiva Dharma, Bhakti Manase Janavrita Jnana Karma. One who faithfully reads Jaiva-Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of Gyan and Karma.
Yes, Rupa Goswami, he's written this beautiful verse, Anyabilasita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anarvitam, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, Bhakti Uttama. What is pure bhakti? He's also written, what is Bhav Bhakti? Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, Prem Suryavam Samyabhak, Ruchi Vistutam Rishnu, Shud Ashu Bhav Uchyate. This is the definition verse of Bhav Bhakti. He's written all the definition verses of everything. Rupa Goswami is our main cornerstone, so to speak. Then from Rupa Goswami, we come to Sanatana Goswami also, his writings in Vaishnava Toshani. And then Raghunath Das is giving us the Prayojan. The Goswamis are giving us absolutely everything. Krishnadas Kaviraj has encapsulated everything within the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Narottam Das also has given so many exquisite, and then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has condensed Rupa Goswami's teachings into the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, and instead of the Ujjwal and Limani, the Kiran, which is a condensed compilation of the Ujjwal and Limani. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself has given so many explanations throughout his songs, Gita Mala, Gita Vali, all these songs. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing the nature of Rag Marg. And it's all inspired by Rupa Goswami. Without Rupa Goswami, nothing would be there. So we are so blessed, really, really. But it's our great misfortune if we don't pick it up. The blessing has been thrown to us, but now it's our independent choice to either pick it up and utilize it, capitalize on the fortune, or just let it go. And actually, we need to have association for this. We need to be inspired in that. Even if you know one person who's interested in these topics, you should stay in contact with that one person and keep that encouragement going. Srila Bhakti Rakshakrita Maharaj says association actually can even mean one or two people in the whole world that are wanting to speak, wanting to die to live, to realize this philosophy. Not just talking about it, but want to practice it. This is the point. Many people may talk about it, but who wants to practice it? And it's such a blissful practice Even in Bhagavad Gita, what's that? Raja Vijay Raja Guyam, Pavitranetamutam, Pratyak Shavagamam Dharamyam, Susukam. You got this verse? Susukam. What's the last line? I always forget the last line. Just a second. I want to get this. But you all should know this verse. Why am I having to look here? Why you not know this? Susukam kartam avyayam. Susukam avyam. Susukam kartam avyayam. It is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. This is 9:2 verse in Bhagavad Gita. So all the way, even Lord Brahma himself, he's saying, what's that? Bhagavan Brahma Karsnena Tira Vikyasya Manasa Tad Avyaya Shakuteshto Ratir Atman Yatobhavet. Lord Brahma, he's analyzed all the Shastra and he's appreciated that the most essential point is having Rati for Radha and Krishna, for their worship. This is the essence. This is called Bhav Bhakti. Always remember, your sadhan bhakti has to be focused on Bhav Bhakti. If it's not being focused on Bhav Bhakti, what is your sadhan? What is it focused on then? Moksha? Mukti? We must focus on Bhav Bhakti. We'll come to that topic in the 22nd chapter. Krishna Ramala Seva Labi Senara Seva Suta Magnara Sada Krishna Para.
Such a man, being fully devoted to Sri Sri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service.
So this is the final shruti, the final foul of this book. We can attain that place of Amal Prem Seva. Perhaps it seems impossible from our conditioned place, but when we take shelter of Harinam regularly, and when we're able to focus our minds there on the Leela of Krishna while we're chanting, and we're able to purify our material attractions and not indulge in them, even if your mind is indulging, still externally we can control ourselves. And then eventually those temptations, so to speak, will just go away by themselves, because something has to replace, because we've been brought up in this conditioned state, always wanting something from the material world. The soul doesn't want anything from this material world. It has no interest in this material world at all. It's just waiting for the mind and the desires to shut up, and then it can become peaceful, absorbed in its eternal seva. Okay, so now we're coming today to chapter 17. So just a brief recap. We've come through 5 pramayas. 3 were about Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the Paramatattva. Sri Hari alone is the Supreme Absolute Truth. We discussed this in the 13th chapter. Then Sarva Shaktiman, Krishna is the possessor of all potency. Shakti, the potency, is doing everything. But Krishna is the possessor of that potency, just as the sun is the possessor of the heat and the light. It's all originating from the source, the origin. And we've understood that the source and origin has 2 qualities. That, Swatantrata, free will, and Swa-icha mayata. No, freedom, Swatantrata, and free will, Swa-icha mayata. These 2 qualities only Krishna has. And all Krishna's qualities, gunas, form, are all coming from Shakti. So this 14th chapter is very important to appreciate the nature of Shakti. Swarup Shakti is manifesting everything. It's all going on under her energy. The Chit Shakti is coming from the Swarup Shakti. We are coming from the Chit Shakti as Jiva Shakti. It's important to appreciate the flow, the current, where it's all sourcing itself from. So Krishna is that Paratattva. But from that Paratattva is Swarup Shakti manifesting, Sri Radhika. Everything is going on by Radhika's grace. So that's the second part of, because there's 3 pramayas about Krishna and there's 3 pramayas about the Jiva. This is called Dasmula. So there's 10 truths. The first truth is the Amnaya Praha, is the evidence. And then the 3 about Krishna and 3 about the Jiva. So far we've discussed 2 about the Jiva. We've discussed Vivinamsa Tattva about the Jiva. In the 15th chapter, how is the Jiva manifesting from Swarup Shakti? We've already discussed that. And then we've discussed in the 16th chapter, how is the Jiva who's covered by Maya? Why is he covered by Maya? And we've learned that he's covered by Maya through his own desires. He's become attached to Maya, and Maya cannot touch him. The Jiva is of Antaranga Shakti, of this Chit Shakti, highest energy. But the Mayic energy is of a lower nature, Apara Shakti. It's lower, Bahiranga Shakti. So it can't actually touch the pure Jiva. But the pure Jiva has decided to embrace this lower conception. So always understand that the key is in our pocket. I've said this repeatedly all the way. We have to become responsible for actually rising above this illusory influence. It's our choice. And that choice will become very easy when our faith in Krishna increases. And that Shraddha should be increasing day by day by day. We can never say that my faith is fixed. It's always growing. It's always dynamic. It's always moving along. Our Shraddha is always increasing. So many things we read, activities happen. Krishna will, I will have to close that now. Can you close those back windows? You have to open the fly screen. Yes, just go. Thank you. So 3 about Krishna and 3 about the Jiva. We've already discussed 2 about the Jiva, and now we're going to discuss the last one about the Jiva. How is the Jiva liberated from Maya? This is chapter 17. Just quickly close it and then shut the fly screen windows as well. You don't have to lock it, just close it. Prabhu, just close it quickly and then close the fly screen quickly. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to discuss Mukta Jivas. Liberated souls are free from Maya. This is our discussion now. So it's very interesting. We're going to hear a pastime that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is weaving into this particular chapter at this time about someone who is so much engrossed in the material bodily conception, and he's trying to affect those who are trying to move forward with their spiritual path, like Brajanath and Raghunath Das Goswami. So this is like almost like an object of Maya Devi is coming in, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing how this doesn't have to affect the jiva. We have to see how they react to this person who Bhaktivinoda Thakur has manifested to be the embodiment of like Maya Devi, to make a disturbance in the world. So Prabhu, you can read chapter 17.
Chapter 17, Prameya, Jivas free from Maya. Vrajanath's grandmother completed all the arrangements for his marriage, and in the evening she explained everything to him. Vrajanath simply took his meal in silence and made no reply that day. He lay awakened on his bed late that night, deep in thought about the state of the pure spirit soul. Meanwhile, his elderly grandmother was busy trying to find ways of convincing him to agree to the marriage.
So the Maya is going to manifest itself in 2 forms, the one about the marriage and the one about the person who's going to try to arrange the marriage. We're going to see. Okay.
Just then, Vrajanath's maternal cousin, Veni Madhav, arrived. The girl that Vrajanath was supposed to marry was Veni Madhav's paternal cousin, and Vijaya Vidyaratna had sent him to finalize the arrangements. Veni Madhav inquired, What's the matter, grandmother? Why are you delaying in arranging brother Vraja's marriage? The grandmother replied in a rather anxious voice, my son, you are an intelligent boy. Perhaps he will change his mind if you speak to him. All my efforts have been in vain. Veni Madhav's character was clearly proclaimed by short stature, small neck, black complexion, and his eyes, which blinked frequently.
That's very inauspicious. If someone's eyes blink all the time, this is considered very inauspicious.
He liked to pry into everything that was going on rather than taking care of his own business. But his involvement in others' affairs was never particularly useful. After listening to the old lady, he frowned slightly, then boasted, this is no problem. I just need your permission. Veni Madhav can accomplish anything. You know me quite well. I can make money just by counting the waves.
Now listen, there's a interesting footnote at the end of the chapter. I think we should read that, otherwise it doesn't make sense to us. You can just quickly read the footnote on page 399. I'll read it. There is a saying to make money by counting the waves. The explanation is as follows. In ancient times, there was a rich Vaishya who became famous all over the country as someone who could make money in any circumstances. Some envious people poisoned the ears of the local king and managed to convince him to send the businessman far away, where he would have no opportunity to make any money. The king decided to send him to a lonely place near the sea. But this Vaishya, true to his character, sat on the beach, counting the waves. Whenever a vessel passed across the sea, he would stop it by waving his arms and then say, "You are not allowed to cross. The king has appointed me to count the waves here, and your vessel is disturbing them." He would argue back and forth and only relent when he had extracted a bribe. In this way, he became a rich man again. So, I mean, this is like but it's an expression in Bengal, to count the waves. It means you will cheat in any circumstance to make money. This is like Veni Madhav's character. Okay.
Let me discuss this with him just once, and if I succeed, then you'll treat me to a nice feast with puris and kachoris. Vrajanath has taken his meal and is asleep now, said grandmother. All right, I'll come in the morning and put things in order, replied Veni Madhav and returned home. The next day, he returned early in the morning, carrying a lota in his hand, and completed his morning ablutions. When Rajanath saw him, he was little surprised and said, Brother, how have you come so early in the morning? Veni Madhav answered, Dada, you have been studying and teaching Nyaya Shastra for a long time now. You are the son of the Pandit Harinath Chudamani, and you have become famous all over the country. You are the only surviving male member of the house. And if you don't have any heirs, who do you suppose will take care of this big house of yours? Brother, we have a request. Please get married. Vrajanath replied, Brother, don't give me unnecessary trouble. Nowadays, I am accepting the shelter of Sri Gaurasundara's Bhaktas, and I don't have any desire to get involved in worldly affairs. I feel real peace in the company of the Vaishnavas in Mayapur, and I don't find any attraction for this world. I will either accept sannyas or spend my life in the shelter of the Vaishnavas' lotus feet. I have expressed my heart to you because I know that you are my close friend. But don't disclose this to anyone else.
It's interesting for us to get an insight into Brajanath's character. He's ready to take sannyas or surrender completely to the Vaishnavas. Brajanath is taking all of these teachings absolutely to heart. He's not just hearing them and then going away and doing something else. He's taking them completely like as his life and soul. So he's sharing this with Veni Madhav.
Veni Madhav understood that nothing but trickery could change Vrajanath's mind. So he cleverly curbed his feelings, and in order to create a particular impression, he said, I have always remained your assistant in whatever you have done. I used to carry your books when you were studying in the Sanskrit school, so I will carry your staff and water pot when you accept sannyas. It is difficult to understand the minds of wicked people. They have two tongues, and they say one thing with one and exactly the opposite with the other. They are bandits in the garb of a saints, carrying the name of Sri Ram in the mouth and a knife under the armpit. Brajanath was a simple person, warming to Veni Madhav's sweet words. He said, Brother, I have always regarded you as my dear friend. Grandmother is just an old woman and she doesn't understand serious matters. She is very enthusiastic to drown me in the ocean of worldly affairs by getting me married to some girl. It will be a relief if you can change her mind and somehow dissuade her. I will always be indebted to you. Veni Madhav replied, No one will dare to oppose your desire as long as Sharma Rama is living. Dada, you will see what I am capable of. But just let me know one thing. Why have you developed such a hatred towards this world? Who is advising you to cultivate such feelings of renunciation?
You see, Rajanath is meeting almost in one sense Maya Devi, in one sense. He's going to represent the materialistic mood and view and try to influence Rajanath. Let's see what happens.
Vrajanath explained about his renunciation and said, There is one elderly and experienced Babaji called Raghunath Das Babaji in Mayapur. He is my instructor, and I go every day after dusk to the shelter of his feet to find relief from the burning fire of this material world. He is very merciful to me. The evil Veni Madhav started thinking, Now I understand Brother Vraja's weakness. He has to be brought back to the right track by deception, force, or skill. Outwardly, he said, Brother, don't worry, I'm going home now, but I will gradually change grandmother's mind. Veni Madhav pretended to take the road that led to his home, but instead, he took another way and reached Shiva's Angam in Mayapur. There, he sat on the raised platform under the Bakula tree and began to admire the opulences of Vaishnavas. These Vaishnavas are actually enjoying the world. They have such beautiful houses and lovely kunjas. This is such a nice dayas in a wonderful courtyard. In each of the kutiras, a Vaishnava sat chanting Harinam on his beads. They seemed quite content, like the bulls of religion. The women of the neighboring villages who came to bathe in the Ganga on their own accord supplied the Vaishnavas with fruits, vegetables, water, and various eatables. Veni Madhava thought the Brahmanas have systematized karma kanda to receive these facilities. But instead, these groups of Babajis are enjoying the cream. All glories to Kali Yuga. These disciples of Kali are having a wonderful time. Oh, my birth in a high Brahmin family is useless. No one even cares about us anymore. What to speak of offering us fruits and water? These Vaishnavas even condemn learned Brahmanas and abuse and insult us by calling us lowly and foolish. Brother Vraja fits this description quite well, though. Although he is such a well educated man, he seems to have sold himself to these sly lion cloth people. I, Veni Madhava, will reform Rajanath and these Babajis as well.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants us to know the complete picture of this material world. Most people are envious. Actually, this whole material world is crackling with envy. Everyone is in competition with everyone else. Everyone wants something better than everyone else. Even the trees are fighting. The animals are fighting. All the living entities are in competition with each other, imagining that the resources are limited and they have to grab as much as they can for themselves. All fighting. So this is just an example. And how are the Vaishnavas going to address this? This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur will show us.
Thinking like this, Veni Madhav entered one of the kutiras, which happened to be the one in which Sri Raghunath Das Babaji was sitting on a mat made of banana leaves, chanting his Harinam. A person's character is evident from his face, and the aging Babaji could understand that Kali personified had entered in the form of this son of a Brahmana. Vaishnavas consider themselves lower than a blade of grass. They offer respect to those who insult them, and they pray for the well-being of an opponent, even if he tortures them. Accordingly, Babaji Maharaj respectfully offered Veni Madhava a seat. Veni Madhava had no Vaishnava qualities at all. So, after sitting down, he offered his blessings to Babaji Maharaj, considering himself above all Vaishnava etiquette.
This
Baba,
is how many Brahmins today feel. They have. We've already gone through it in the 6th chapter with Chudamani in the debate. They actually have the feeling, the Brahmins, that they are superior to everyone by birth. So this is what Mahaprabhu has come to purify, not by birth. He gave this holy name to even Harijans, even the lowest of, even Jagai and Madai. So this Vaishnava mood, this Vaishnava doctrine is so much actually superior to the Brahmins. But nevertheless, the Brahmins have to be respected. And Krishna would feed thousands of Brahmanas every day in Dwarka. In the previous ages, the Brahmins were much more correct in their behavior, etc., and were much more Brahminical. A Brahman means he has no attachment to this world. This is actually a quality of the Brahmins. And another quality is the quality of forgiveness. A Brahman will always forgive. But today the Brahmins are not like that because it's Kali Yuga. They are trying to get facility just by being Brahmins, just by being born in Brahmin families. But it's not that they are Brahmins by quality. But the Vaishnavas are embracing the qualities, the purest qualities of the Vaishnavas. So actually, of the Brahmins rather. So the Vaishnavas are actually the leaders of society. But still, socially, the Brahmins appear in that role. The Brahmins do become very envious, like in the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, etc. Anyway.
Baba, what is your name? What brings you here? Inquired Babaji Mahashai informally. Veni Madhav became
So
furious.
there's two different ways of asking this. What is it? Tu and tvam. If you say tu, this means like a family member. If you say tvam, it means more worldly. So Babaji inquired intimately, informally. He said tu. So this is what greatly angers Veni Madhav. You understand? In Bengali also the same, and certainly in Hindi. It's tu or tvam. It's these two different ways. If it's tvam, then it's a general. But if it's tu, it means, oh, I'm already assuming that you're like a friend, a family friend. This is called informal. So Veni Madhav, he heard Babaji address him informally. But he was so proud of his Brahmin status, he thought, no, I shouldn't be addressed informally by this Baba. I should be respected more. I should have been respected as tvam, not tu. This is why he becomes angry.
Veni Madhav became furious by being addressed informally, and he said angrily, "O Babaji, can you become equal to the Brahmanas just by wearing a cowpeen? Never mind. Just tell me, what do you know Vrajanath Nyaya Panchana?
Do you know?
Sorry, just never mind. Just tell me, do you know Vrajanath Nyaya Panchanana Babaji? Understanding the reason of his annoyance, please excuse this old man. Don't become offended by my words. Yes, Vrajanath comes here sometimes by his own mercy. Veni Madhav. Don't think that he is a simpleton. He comes here with ulterior motives. He is being polite at first to gain your confidence. The Brahmanas of Belpukur are extremely annoyed at your behavior, and they have consulted with each other and decided to send Vrajanath to you. You are an old man. Just be careful. I will keep coming from time to time to inform you how their
Conspiracy.
conspiracy progresses. Don't tell him about me, otherwise, you will run into even deeper trouble. I will take leave for today. So saying, Veni Madhav got up and returned to his home. Later that afternoon, while Vrajanath sat on the veranda after his meal, Veni Madhav suddenly appeared, as if from nowhere, sat next to him, and struck up a conversation. Brother, I went to Mayapur for some business today, he began. There I saw an old man, maybe Raghunath Das Babaji. We were talking about things in general, and then the conversation turned to you. The things he said about you, I have never heard such repulsive things being spoken about any Brahmin. In the end, he said, I will bring him down from his high Brahminical status by feeding him leftovers from many low caste people. Fee on him,
Fie.
fie on him. It is not proper for a learned man like you to associate with such a person. You will ruin the high prestige of the Brahmanas if you act like this.
You
Vrajana,
understand what he's saying? Clearly, everything?
Hmm.
Yes, yes. This is the nature of a very envious person, right?
Vrajanath was astounded to hear Veni Madhav say all this. For some unknown reason, his faith and respect for the Vaishnavas and old Babaji Maharaj only doubled.
This
And
is indicative of Brajanath's pure heart. Immediately, he could cut the illusion of what Veni Madhav was trying to do by his mercy of his Sukriti and his understanding of the philosophy up till now, and his melted heart associating with the Vaishnavas. And instantly, what happens is his feelings towards Raghunath Das increased double, not went down. This is the Vaishnavas' reaction to the illusory energy. When the illusory energy confronts us, we should see it with our intelligence, our woken up. We are udita vivek, we are awake in consciousness. So when the consciousness is woken up, we should be able to discern these types of people and to stay somewhat removed.
only doubled, and he said gravely, Brother, I'm busy at present. You go now. I will hear everything from you tomorrow and make a decision then. Veni Madhav went away. Rajanath now became fully aware of Veni Madhav's two-tongued nature. He was well versed in the Nyaya Shastra, and although he had a natural dislike for wickedness, the thought that Veni Madhav would help him on the path to sannyas had induced Vrajanath to be friendly towards him. Now, however, he understood that all Veni Madhav's sweet words had been for a particular motive. After further thought, Vrajanath realized that Veni Madhav was acting deceitfully,
Deceitfully.
deceitfully because he was involved in the marriage proposal. That must be why he had gone to Mayapur, to sow the seed of some secret plot. He prayed in his mind, O Bhagavan, let my faith in the lotus feet of my Gurudev and the Vaishnavas remain firm. May it never be reduced by the disturbance of such impure people. He remained absorbed in these thoughts until evening. Then he started out for Shiva's Angan. Arriving there, deep in anxiety, back in Mayapur, after Veni Madhav had left, Babaji thought, this man is certainly a Brahma Rakshasa. Rakshasa Kalim Ashrita Jayante Brahma Yonishu. Taking shelter of Kali Yuga, Rakshasas take birth in Brahmin families.
They do. They do. Beware. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he told us this. Kali Chelas. They may look like devotees, but we have to be, if they're doing something inconsistent with the instructions of Mahaprabhu, then we should be respectfully distant and not become involved. We should always know what is someone's heart and mind. This is the sort of company we want to seek, the sincere souls who really want this truth and not something in this material world.
This statement of Shastra certainly holds true for that person. His face clearly shows his pride in his high caste, his false ego, his envy of Vaishnavas, and his religious hypocrisy. His short neck, his eyes, and his deceptive way of talking actually represents his internal state of mind. Ha, this man is completely asura by nature, whereas Vrajanath is such a sweet natured person. O Krishna, O Gauranga, never give me association of such a person. I must warn Vrajanath today. As soon as Vrajanath reached the kutir, Babaji called out to him affectionately, come, Baba, come, and embraced him. Vrajanath's throat choked with emotion, and tears started flowing from his eyes as he fell down at Babaji's feet. Babaji picked him up very affectionately and said gently, a black complexioned Brahmana came here this morning. He said something agitating. He said some agitating things and then went away again. Do you know him? Rajanath. Prabhu, your good self told me earlier that there are different kinds of jivas in this world. Some of them are so envious that without any cause they find satisfaction in troubling other jivas.
It's very important to appreciate that point. Don't think because we're becoming personally engrossed in beautiful states of consciousness that others are, going to be respectful of that. Many people will be envious of that. So just appreciate that. Mm-hmm.
Our brother Veni Madhav is one of the leaders in that category. I will be glad if we don't discuss him further. It is his very nature to criticize you to me and me to you, and to cause disputes between us by manufacturing false accusations. I hope you didn't pay any attention to what he said. Babaji, Ha Krishna, Ha Gauranga, I have been serving the Vaishnavas for many days now, and by their mercy, I have received the power to tell the difference between a Vaishnava and a non Vaishnava. You don't need to say anything to me about this.
So it's important to appreciate this. That's what I'm saying. We need to know the distinction and find our comfortable sangha without any of these types of influences.
Vrajanath, please forget all this and tell me how a jiva can become free from the clutches of Maya.
This is the nature of this is the title of this chapter.
Babaji, you will get your answer in the seventh shloka of Dashamula. Yada Brahmam Harirasa Glada Vaishnava Jnanam Kadachit Samapsyan Tad Anugamane Syad Ruchi Yutaha Tada Krishna Vritya Tyajit Shankair Mayika Dasam Swarupam Vibhrano Vimalarasa Bhogam Sa Kurute. When, in the course of wandering amongst the higher and lower species in the material world, a jiva is able to behold a Vaishnava absorbed in the flowing ras of Sri Hari Bhakti. Taste arises in his heart for following the Vaishnava way of life. By chanting Sri Krishna Nam, he gradually becomes free from his conditioning. Step by step, he then gains his intrinsic Chinmay Swarup, transcendental form, and becomes qualified to taste the pure and spiritual ras of direct service to Sri Krishna.
Step by step, step by careful step. If we listen to the Shastra nicely, if we follow Jaiva-Dharma, if we follow this Bhakti Tattva Vivek also, there's a very beautiful book by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. You have this book, Bhakti? Yes, this is beautiful. This describes what is Shuddha Bhakti. You just have to know these precepts and then carefully follow, and then all success will come.
Vrajanath, I would like to hear some evidence from the Vedas to verify this. Babaji, it is said in the Upanishads, Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno nishaya sochati mukhyam manaha chushtam yada pashyati anyam isham asya maimanam iti vita shokaha. Mundaka Upanishad and in Shvetashvatara Upanishad. The Jiva and the indwelling Paramatma both reside in the body, like two birds in the same tree. The Jiva is sunk in the bodily conception of life because of his attachment to material sense enjoyment.
Because of his attachment. Appreciate this point always. It's my responsibility. I am attached to the material energy, nothing else.
Bewildered by Maya, he cannot find any means of deliverance, and thus he laments and falls down. When the Jiva has darshan of the other person within his heart, namely the Supreme Lord, who is served eternally by his unalloyed bhaktas, he witnesses Krishna's uncommon glories. He then becomes free from all lamentations and attains his glorious position as Krishna's servant.
So we must listen to Super Soul. We must listen to our heart's inclination. If we're studying the Shastras nicely, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, our whole consciousness is getting purified. And we actually intuitively know. Srila Jiva Goswami, he describes that the Jiva intuitively knows what is right and what is wrong. He knows that. In the grossly conditioned state, the Jiva chooses to ignore his better welfare. But in the even just a little bit purified with Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, etc., we know intuitively which is our right path, which is best in the best interest of my soul. My body may go through some discomfort, but my soul will be nourished. So we have to always see this distinction. What in my life is going to be in the best interest of my soul? My body may have so many demands, family, different things like that, money, all kinds of different demands. But if I'm always thinking what is in the best interest of my soul, Krishna, Guru, will always provide a clear, direct path. And if I follow that path, no doubt I will always be successful, always be successful, always be successful. Okay. Go ahead.
Rajanath, this shloka states that when the Jiva sees the worshipable Lord, he becomes free forever from all anxieties and directly perceives his magnificence. Does this imply liberation?
See, he doesn't know yet what liberation means. He's thinking that liberation means just freedom from the material world. That's like moksha or mukti. Liberation actually is going to be explained that when the activity of the soul is woken up, and what is his service to Krishna, that is when he's really liberated, when he's serving in that transcendental world, not when he's just liberated from this material world. There's two aspects of liberation: being liberated from the material world, but being attracted completely into the spiritual world. The attachment to the spiritual world, that's what has to be, this will be described.
Babaji, liberation means to be released from the clutches of Maya. Only those who have the association of saintly people attain this liberation. But the real subject of research is the glorious position that one receives after attaining liberation.
That's the point. After liberation, what is then? You see, that's where all other faiths stop at. They just go to the place of blissful liberation. This is what they're all concerned with. The Muktivads, etc., those who want moksha. Most people who are inquiring to some degree, if they don't have clear Vaishnava directives, they're going to be considering that this moksha, this liberation, material liberation, is the goal. But he's saying clearly, the glorious position that one receives after attaining liberation. I made one little book based on this called Beyond Liberation. And this is about this. Anyway, go ahead.
Muktir hitvanyata rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. Srimad Bhagavatam. The Jiva, in his original constitutional form, is pure servant of Krishna. When he falls down into the darkness of nescience, he has to accept gross and subtle material bodies.
So we know what those are now.
24.
Yeah, but the 5 Mahabhutas is like the gross, the Stula Sarira, and then the 3 subtle, plus the Chitta. That makes 4. Okay.
Liberation means to abandon these extraneous forms completely and to be situated in one's original spiritual swarup.
Okay. I think we should stop there. We're going to get into some very beautiful descriptions now on Monday. So just always bear in mind when we're absorbing in this chapter, what is the title of the chapter? This is the Jivas liberated from Maya. So that's not just liberated from the suffering of the material world, but what happens after that? This is the real question. What will be the activity of my spirit soul? That's the most important thing to appreciate. Not just becoming materially satisfied, but what is my spiritual function? What is my spiritual activity now? That's what we have to consider. So we'll carry on Monday. This is very beautiful. It just gets more and more beautiful, actually. Okay. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai, Jaiva-Dharma ki jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Vanshakalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavebhacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.